Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8, and this is going to be my review for Episode 2 for this season, otherwise entitled Armageddon Part 2, and oh my god, that was probably one of the most insane episodes of The Flash I think that there's ever been. There was that many twists and turns, and is this really happening? Oh my god, that happened. Is this actually happening? Oh my god, that happened. I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my mind. I think I might be the one that causes Armageddon after watching that episode. But of course, I won't spoil it yet. Spoilers! If you have not watched the episode, go away, of course. Why would you watch this if you don't watch the episode yet? Oh my god, we got a lot to talk about, but of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, everything like that in the comment section down below. What was your reactions to everything that happened in the episode? Oh, whoa, yeah, pretty crazy. Let me know all that down there in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, you enjoyed the episode, you're just like a big what the hell from the episode, drop a like on the video to show support, and just, I guess, rating for the episode. But of course, last episode was the big premiere for The Flash Season 8 and Part 1 for this Armageddon event, where Barry is pretty much told from this alien Despero, hey, you sort of go evil in the future, and I'm here to stop that. And Barry's like, no, there's no way I could have gone evil. There's no way I could do that. There's no way, because Barry's just normal at that point. But as events start to go through in the episode 1, Barry's like, could I? You know, there's potential there. And, well, Barry's got 7 days to prove himself right. But after this, it might only be 1 or 2 days, and then Barry might be gone. So, yeah, pretty crazy. But this episode overall, as I said, insane. It's probably one of the most insane, crazy, all over the shop in the best way possible episodes I think the show has done. And that's because the show's never really had to do anything like this. But this event and the current circumstances with what's happening, and also with Despero coming in and other villains that are there, it allows this to happen. And honestly, when I was about a third of the way through the episode, I was a bit worried. I was like, okay, I don't necessarily know what they're doing. Hopefully it builds up well. And the final, 5 to 10 minutes in this episode just went, hey, come here. Okay, just stand in front of me, and just slaps you across the face. And not just a generous slap, like a wound up, from 5 minutes away, ran at you and then slapped you. Like, my cheeks hurt. My face cheeks. Don't get weird. But anyway, let's just jump into this. I'm not even joking. I've started to sweat just thinking about this episode. I just felt a little bit of sweat drain from my next to my ear. Anyway, we pick up from the end of last episode with Despero attacking Barry. A bit random, just after that conversation, just sort of picked him up and gave him a rock bottom. I was like, okay, just that felt a bit unnecessary. But Despero says he kills Barry in the future, but Barry is still confused why he would need to do that and what Despero is claiming he would do. But apparently it's madness. Something will happen that will be tougher for Barry to get through than anything. It will trigger this thing in Barry that will just drive him mad. So pretty much, to put it on simple terms, it's like Savitar on steroids. That's probably the best way to describe it in easy terms. I guess if you'd watch the show, obviously. But Despero says that tomorrow from this discussion is the start. It's the beginning of the end, and he lets Barry know that as soon as there is a sign of that madness coming through, it's time for Barry to get yeeted. It's time to go bye-bye Barry. Now, we do get Alex Danvers in this episode, which is a surprise. I was like, oh, there's Alex. I thought she wasn't appearing until episode 3 and episode 4. We know that through the synopsis. So, yeah, surprised to see her. She's also at the end of the episode as well. But she's talking to Caitlin. I think just the rest of Team Flash was there as well, at least most of them. And Alex is relaying the information that they wanted from the end of last episode. But from what they know, Despero is as strong as Superman and Supergirl, so it's not going to be easy to take him down just through standard force. They're going to have to come up with some sort of bigger plan. Now, this sort of leans into Frost nudging Chester in the direction of weapon manufacturing to take Despero out, which makes him a bit uneasy. Now, I thought, because I think Frost is in that scene and then one other towards the end, I thought it was can you just had Caitlin? But I guess Caitlin wouldn't have pushed or nudged Chester to be overly forceful, if not make a weapon to kill someone, but Frost would. That's in Frost's nature. So I guess it made sense to have her there. I don't know what other character would have done that. Now, we do get a Barry and Iris scene the next morning. They don't actually have that many scenes. I think they only have 2. Was it this one and the one at the Central City Citizen Media? I think so. So they have this one, and this is on the morning of this, beginning of the end. Now, obviously Despero was warning Barry about. Now, Barry, of course, is worried about Iris. So all of his attention is like, look, what are you doing today? Are you going out in the field? Are you going swimming with sharks in a cage? Because that cage could break. I don't want you, you being, shark food. But apparently Iris is having a pretty damn boring day at work. Now, Iris does mention that Cecile and Jenna have been having a bad time lately. And obviously this builds up towards the end of the episode, but at the time I was just thinking, where is Joe? Like, where is he? Like, where the hell is Joe? Like, Chester last episode mentioned Joe, like, mentioned death, and Cecile got a bit, like, tilted by it, and, Chester was like, oh, I'm sorry, Cecile, I'm sorry for saying that. But now this, like, Cecile and Jenna are having a bad time lately. What's going on? But anyway, we got to come back to this. We're just going to go through the episode play by play, because let's just relive the insanity. So Barry goes to work, and this is where the bad day starts. It's it's definitely a way to start a day. We have this security guard at the bank, and he's had a mental breakdown. So I'm sure that's a coincidence. I'm sure that isn't a coincidence, whichever way you want to look at it. But then all of a sudden, Barry is suspended by Kramer, and he's being investigated for federal crimes, with Despero being there to watch on, by the way, to monitor. He isn't actually there physically. It's just him, like, mentally projecting himself upon Barry. That happens at multiple points throughout the episode, which I didn't mind. I guess that would make sense. Like, if he's doing that, Barry would see him. But Barry is being accused of being a mole within CCPD for Joseph Carver, like Sunshine was her name, the one from season 6, and I guess the beginning of season 7 as well. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago. But he's being accused of that as well. So Barry's just like, no, that couldn't happen. Did it happen? Did it actually happen? Like, I don't even know what's happened based off the end of this episode. Like, what's going on with this timeline? Is this an alternate reality? I'm sure more's going to get revealed, but I'm so confused. But anyway, we do have a Barry and Cecile scene, and there is another vague mention of Joe, but Cecile starts to, like, twitch out a bit, and it's because of Despero's mental presence and him being so powerful that it just sort of, like, Cecile's just threatened through the mental power of it, even though she can't see him there. But Barry starts to connect the events of the day, leading him to go talk to the guard that had that mental breakdown at the bank, with the guard muttering Xotar, 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 on and on and on, just in his speech. And also he just sort of, like, freaks out at Barry when he's there as well. Now, this isn't it. It's not just this mental stuff that's going on. Star Labs is being shut down due to a radiation issue that isn't anything small. I left the episode and completely forgot about that until I just saw it in my notes. I completely forgot that happened in this episode because of all the other insane stuff. If Star Labs being shut down was in any other episode of The Flash, it would be the main thing you'd probably leave the episode thinking about. I completely forgot it happened till right now, but it's getting shut down due to a radiation issue that isn't just, small, it's almost disastrous, like meltdown level, due to, like, shoddy maintenance within Star Labs, and apparently it's going to get demolished. Like, of course, if this is an alternate reality, it probably not going to happen, but at the same time, is it going to happen? Is this goodbye Star Labs? Like, this is not a good day for Barry. And then it continues where Barry goes to see Gideon in order to create, like, holographic walls in order to cover, like, the Team Flash or just Flash related areas within Star Labs, which was very smart. And Team Flash are also sure to take what they need, which includes Chester taking, like, that radiation gun for possible use against Despero. And Gideon advises to Barry to wipe Star Labs' databases in order to protect Barry and his identity as the Flash, which unfortunately includes Gideon herself. So R.I.P. Gideon, R.I.P. Star Labs? What is going on? Now, from the past in the Flash, the series history, Barry creates Gideon, so maybe he might just recreate her if this is actually happening and what's happening here is real. This is all for us to, like, I guess, deal with, post Armageddon. I'm not even too sure. We're gonna have to wait and see, I guess. Now, Iris is able to help Barry find out who Xotar is, and it's a metahuman. I thought it was an alien first, but then they kept saying it, so it was a metahuman based in National City, so that's where Supergirl's from. But upon confronting her, Xotar uses her powers on Barry, and Barry awakens all of a sudden in his, like, trashed up apartment with Team Flash consisting of Chester, Caitlin, and Allegra scared of him and ready to defend themselves against him. And apparently he just flashed in and started turning over the room, almost killed Chester. Like, Allegra had to take him down so they felt safe. But of course, Barry has no memory of this, with Barry getting Caitlin to scan him in order to prove that he isn't insane like apparently he was before. But of course, this would scare the hell out of Barry, and now Xotar is like now the main aim after this. Like to Barry, it's clear stopping her can stop the chain of events that can lead to this future that Despero is warning him about. It just seems like the general chain of events. Now, Barry's talk with Despero was a quick one. They talked about this sort of explaining Despero's motives, and it sort of does, where Despero reveals his past. So his home planet of Kalanor was overrun with evil, where Despero had the opportunity at one point to kill like the leader of this evil and leader of like the person that overrunning it all, but he didn't. And then that person sort of re-rose, if you want to call it, through the, just rose up again and then destroyed the planet. And that's why he came to Earth. It was his new home, and that's why he's after Barry, because he is protecting his new home. He's not going to allow the same thing to happen to Earth that happened on Kalanor. Now, we do get like a makeshift Team Flash HQ in, is what, Chester's garage? I think it was Chester's garage, where Chester reveals why he was hesitant to build the weapon to use against Despero. He'd like made a toy weapon that malfunctioned when he was younger and almost killed his friend's family. And at this point, I was like this scene, I was like, this just felt like a backstory for the sake of a backstory. It was like, not everything has to have a backstory. You could have just said that Chester doesn't like violence. Like, it doesn't like killing. You know what I mean? Like, because his dad died or something like that. You could say, oh, well, I don't want to take someone else's life. You know what I mean? I lost someone that really affected me, everything like that. So they could have just had something like that sort of line of dialogue, but they created this thing where he'd made a weapon when he was really young and because of Marvin the Martian or something. I just felt like it was a backstory for the sake of a backstory, but that's like the most minor nitpicks in this episode. I just don't like it when they force a backstory a lot of the time. But Xotar was like, hey, well, I had fun in National City, and it's time to come to Central City. And she targets a museum transport. And this is when we get the Flash versing Xotar. She's got the upper hand. It's not just telepathy now, it's telekinesis as well. And she's like crushing the Flash. You like sort of like hear all the stuff going on. Pretty crazy. But then we get a sense of how powerful Barry is now. And he starts to generate lightning within himself. When usually, as like the show was explaining, he would need friction. He'd run around. You see him all the time. He'd run around to build up lightning and then throw it or whatever it might be. But he's building it up within himself until it explodes out of him pretty much. Like Super Saiyan sort of like spirit bomb sort of stuff just goes, and just lets it all release out of him. Insane scene. I was like, that's awesome. That was really, really cool to watch. But this is when it's pretty insane afterwards. So Barry's talking to Team Flash. It's a bit of a celebratory moment. It's like, hey, who's hungry? So Barry brings up going to Joe and Cecile's house to get Joe to cook for them. Joe's a really good cook. Why would you not get him to cook for you? With Team Flash, you're not, finding that funny. It's like, hey, that's not very amusing, Barry. Like, hey, there's a time and place for comedy. But hey, that's a bit too soon. And apparently Joe died. He died 6 months ago, which would be the end of season 7. Apparently he died all that way back. And Barry apparently spoke at his funeral. What the actual hell? What the actual hell? Joe's dead apparently. Cecile is of course furious because I guess Barry's just, has been just bringing up Joe casually with no one really correcting him. But it gets worse. Yes, it gets worse than Barry finding out that, well, his real dad died, and now his father figure, this man who brought him up, Joe, has now died, and he didn't even know. So he's just reliving as if like what the others would have experienced 6 months ago, apparently. It gets worse. Barry's on the news, and it isn't because he saved a kitten from a tree. It's not because he, walked an old lady across the road. Apparently he went full-on psycho and assault on Central City, injuring many. I don't even know if they mentioned him killing people. I know they injured many. And you see him, the footage of him throwing lightning. It's not just some fake story, on like We Got This Covered or something, in the words. There's footage of him. And this brings Despero to take out the Flash. This is the moment that Despero's been waiting for, the proof to take him out. And Cecile tries to take on Despero, but Despero's just too powerful, unfortunately. With Chester and Allegra able to let Barry get away, and Despero's furious at them. It's like, why are you doing this? Let me take him out before he does something even worse and potentially causes this, Armageddon. So who knows how long it takes Despero to find Barry next episode, but we do finish the episode with two interesting scenes. One's just sort of like explain some stuff, and one's like the setup for the next episode, or at least the beginning of next episode. So we have Alex Danvers again talking to the team, and she reveals that they had heard rumblings of Kalanor and the events of what happened there. happened there, sorry, with it also being revealed that Supergirl and Martian Manhunter are off Earth doing their job. So it explains why they're not in this event. They're off Earth doing, more important things. So you can argue that and say, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. At least they explained it. But the end scene, we get to the Hall of Justice, just like it was at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Barry's all alone there, but he's then joined by Jefferson Pierce, aka Black Lightning, and Barry needs his help. He needs his help with injustice. And Jefferson at that point knows it's serious. You see his change in emotions and his facial expressions. Things just got serious. Now, I haven't watched the promo for next week yet, but I can't wait to see this dialogue between Barry and Jefferson, or the Flash and Black Lightning, because I think it's going to be great. And if I don't know if next episode is even as good as this week's this one's was, then we're in for a treat, because this was insane. Now, I'm not saying it was the best episode of The Flash ever, but it kept me on my toes. It kept me on my toes so much. Crazy. But yeah, like I think you know what my thoughts on this episode are after that. Like, wow, that's just the best word to put it. Like, wow, what the hell? My brain. Did I cause Armageddon because I'm going insane? And Spirit Bomb. Those are the 5 keywords or the key terms to go out of this review with in this episode, because just wow. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, everything like that. I'm just curious to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Keep your eyes out for my trailer breakdown for next week's episode, coming out in about like 12 hours, 13, 14 hours after this review goes out. Yeah, just, I feel like I need a nap. I'm drained after that episode. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.